Jocelyn Horn. That is Jocelyn. My audience is actually people just like you, college students. Most of you guys, I think, are unmarried, and I'm pretty sure all of you guys don't have kids, and which is kind of the exact people that I was looking for. This topic has been a really big theme in my life, especially recently over the past couple years. And it is an argument based on values and then practice to actually do something and then believe something. I have a basic argument structure. My thesis is that college students should take steps towards working through past experiences through counseling or therapy. I'm going to be using those interchangeably before they get in a serious relationship or have kids. Okay, imagine me at a very long table, very fancy, little breakfast food, jam and bread, in Dubrovnik, Croatia, with a whole bunch of high school students and a couple college students, and Pastor Doug. He says, none of you guys are ready to be married. And I was like, bruh. And I'm like, I feel like I could do it if I had to, right? But he said, none of you guys, except maybe Jamin. Why Jamin? He said that. And then he proceeded to explain why. He said, because you guys are not aware of your personal problems. And when you aren't aware of your problems and insecurities and things that you grew up with and expectations, and then another person comes with that exact same thing, except they have different problems, different expectations, that just creates a huge clash whenever things might not be happening the way you want them to be happening. And he said that if you get counseling for those things, you can become self-aware on what your problems may be and what your personal tendencies are when you feel insecure or you feel upset. And there at the breakfast table, I didn't like what he had to say, but I have now decided that I think he's right, and I took steps to actually act upon what I thought was true. I think that therapy addresses underlying issues that resurface when things get hard. Because in relationships, you might be okay for the first month or two or a couple months, but once you have things that are coming up that you need to resolve, or there's stress happening, then it becomes apparent that you have tendencies that you go to, like alcohol. Say when you're stressed out, you go to alcohol, but you're having a good season. It doesn't mean that's not still a tendency you have. And instead of just going to other things, maybe trying to figure out, why do I go to alcohol? What's the underlying problem? And that's what therapy addresses. It gives a one, plan of action to change, and then two, the accountability to do so. And that's what I've learned in my life. I would say that counseling, first of all, is something that is going to change how you interact on a personal basis with yourself and your relationship with yourself, and then your relationship with God. My example for that would be, if you guys know the story about Lee Strobel, who wrote The Case for Christ, he went to, at least in the movie, and I think the book, he also, well, both of them, he mentions this. He goes to somebody, and they just bypass his question that he had about Christianity, and instead asks at the end if he had father issues. In relation to God, his unbelief in God partially stemmed from his bad relationship with his father. And even if you believe in Jesus, you believe in God, and you're a faithful Christian, if you have a bad relationship with your father, that's going to maybe unintentionally pour into the way that you view God. And you can change the way that you view God as long as you know that's something that's there. But if you don't know, then you can't do anything about it. In my own life, with my relationship with myself, I used to really hate myself. And I just hated the way I looked, the way I talked, everything about me, everything I did. And it wasn't until I realized the inconsistency with my faith that I really felt like I needed to change that thought. Because I realized that God sees me a certain way. And if I'm going to be consistent with believing what God says, then I need to believe it about other people. When God says people are made in the image of God, I need to treat them correctly. That's true, but it also means that I need to treat myself correctly as well with that same standard. The way that counseling can impact somebody is in their relationship, relationally with people around them, whether that's a spouse or whether that's just your friends. A 2023 survey by Very Well Mind was conducted, and 90% of the participants who had gone to counseling for like individually, their couple, like their partner said that positively impacted their relationship. That's 90%. So even just if you go to counseling for your own ick and your own problems and your own past experiences, your partner will 9 times out of 10 be positively impacted, and your relationship will be able to deepen and grow better. I would say in person-to-person relationships, it was until I was older that I realized that my insecurities were a burden on other people, and it wasn't just affecting me. Something that I realized that I had a problem with is whenever I got insecure or I felt like people didn't want me, I would push away, and in an attempt to get people to like see if they'll stay. And that is unhealthy, and that is manipulative. And I just didn't even realize I did that until I had somebody tell me, hey, this is something that's happening. This is something that you're doing that's not okay. Counseling doesn't just affect the way that you can view yourself and view your relationship with God, and view and impact your relationship with your spouse or friends. It also has the ability to change your family tree. Your unhealth mentally can have a generational impact. It impacts your children. And I think that we know this, but we don't really think about it and do anything about it, is that you can tell somebody what they should be doing, your children, but it's not gonna really affect anything unless you're modeling that behavior as well. And they also pick up bad behaviors. And so for me in my life, there are things that I inherited because that's how I saw my parents doing things, that I didn't even do anything to gain certain traits except just exist in my home. And it's more of a combating those things and unlearning them. For example, if my mom had gotten counseling before she had kids, our whole family would be a little bit different, or a lot different. Because imagine somebody who was born to an 18-year-old mom, didn't have a dad for 7 years, and then had other trauma happen when she was 7 years old. Just those things right there, if you don't work through them, can change your life dramatically. And so that was my mom's experience. And this resulted in what I would believe to be people pleasing, that pushing away concept. And then other things that I would say that I inherited unintentionally is like maybe something's wrong with my body, or I don't look okay, because my mom would make comments about herself. And other things with like, oh, my family resolves problems by yelling at each other and blaming other people. And so I would resolve problems by yelling at my siblings and blaming them for my problems, which is not cool and is not true. And so when you decide to take the step to go to counseling, to learn those things that you're doing and to do something about them to stop that, you can change your future kids and your relationship with everybody in your life. There are a lot of reasons why people could say they don't want to go to therapy, but I would say that 2 of those main reasons, like the first one is definitely because it costs a whole lot of freaking money. I've been fortunate enough to, like, my therapist, she said that she would, because she has a something about when you get your degree or your license, you have to do some sort of generosity thing, and she said she would do me for free because it's in like the thing, and she decided that I was going to be the recipient of that. But most people have to pay a lot of money for therapy, and we're broke college students, right? Oops. Okay. I'm gonna have to go pretty quick. I'm pretty slow. So I would say that at counseling, at Moody, we have the opportunity to get a $5 counseling session, like 6 of them, at Moody Bible Institute. So if you email them, you can start that process. That is like the first thing I would say to do. The second thing is you don't even necessarily need professional counseling, but having a Christian mentor in your life that you allow to speak into you is also very vital. You also have the ability to do it yourself, which is something people don't think about a lot. And just to quickly explain that, is that I made a list on my phone, and this is my prop, guys. I made a list on my phone that is all the things that I believe that I needed to work through. I had this huge whole list. I would say everybody should do that. So that's everybody should make that list on their phone of all the things that they think could possibly be something that they should think about and work through the process. Like such as lies they believe or relational problems with their family. And then 2, what you can do is something called cognitive behavioral therapy, which is basically changing the way that your brain thinks. The National Center for Biotechnology Medicine says that cognitive behavioral therapy corrects automatic thoughts, cognitive distortions, and underlying beliefs. So it's basically super easy. All you have to do is immediately change a thought that you don't want. Like for me, if I drop something, I just broke this thing. And my initial thought is, what's wrong with me? Why am I doing this? I hate myself. I'm so stupid. Why did I drop this? But I decided that I'm gonna change that. So if I drop that, my first thought is gonna be, okay, that sucks. Let's clean it up. It's okay. Everyone makes mistakes. Apologize if I need to, which is so much more of a healthier thing, but I think that's even like an easy thing that we don't even think about to do. Dr. Hebb's theory in the organization of behavior says that neurons that wire together fire together. So if you make one thing a pattern with another thing, if you do it together, it's eventually, when you do that one thing, it is gonna come up naturally. So if I drop that, my first response doesn't have to be the first one. It could eventually be that second one without me having to correct it. And so, another reason why people would not do counseling is because they don't see that they have a problem. And that's a dangerous place to be, I would say, more dangerous than knowing you have the problem. I would say that maybe some people don't actually have a lot of issues because they grew up in a good family. But even if you grew up in a good family, there are still some things and patterns in your own life that you still need to know in order to go into a relationship with other people in a way that's going to be really, really personal, and especially if you're going to have kids. Me, I didn't know I had certain problems until Pastor Doug told me. And my counselor told me, and I was like, oh shoot, that sucks. And that's why that Christian accountability can be really important sometimes. I would say, if you're in that position where you don't think you have any problems, that's okay. But ask God if you have anything that you think, ask God if there's anything that you should change or work through. And chances are everybody's got sin. If you don't, please talk to me. I would love to hear some tips with that. And so I would say, to wrap everything up, I would say get your phone out. Everybody, get your phone out. ASAP, come on. 3, 2, 1, guys. And you're gonna go on your notes app. Okay, and while you're getting that out, if you're up there, your note is gonna be called work through it, okay? Remember, therapy improves holistic health, your relationship with God, yourself, future spouse, future kids. In that you can change your family tree. And so, because therapy gives a plan of action and accountability, I would put on that note, number 1. And then after number 1, you're gonna say, pray to God to reveal problems, okay? And then number 2, after you get that, you're gonna say, make lists of things to work through. And then number 3, you're gonna write, sign up for a $5 counseling session at Moody. here's that email. It's also located Smith 3, North Wing, if you just want to walk in and ask them about the information they have there. Those would be my 3 takeaways of things that you guys can do right now. First of all, pray. Second, write your list. 3, go and sign up for a session, because there's no other place you're going to get a $5 counseling session. And I would say that today I'm still working through things, and I'm not perfect, but I am a lot better than I was a couple years ago in, I would say, being healthy, mentally speaking. And I would say you guys can be like that too. Thank you.